Hi, folks. I have a very unusual story to share. Um, it's my exploration over the past year about my own learning about spirituality. This has happened as the result of several of my clients saying that my intuition has really helped them. And I thought, oh my goodness, I guess I better take a class in developing my intuition. In any event, I did. I took two classes. One of them was called Intuitive Development, the other one was called Tarot. So I found that after taking these courses, and by the way, tarot is simply a coaching tool in order to help people make their own decisions. In any event, I discovered that after taking these classes, that I felt much more in touch with my own spiritual team. And I started receiving some guidance from them in order about how to move forward into the future. So I also found that I wanted to explore and solve a mystery. You see, over my past life, I mean, this life, but in the past, folks, Um, I have had a number of tarot readings from different people, and essentially they all would give me information, but they all had something that was the same. They said, someone has put a curse on your life. They don't want you to find happiness in terms of love, in terms of success, financial stability, friends. Um, Romantic relationships, all of it. They don't want you to have any happiness. They want you to have no real friends, no real love interests, no career satisfaction, and no prosperity. These different people were conveying that as part of their message. And I was shocked. Who could possibly want that for me? Really, my way of surviving for most of my life was to keep my head down and to say as little as possible. I grew up in quite a toxic environment. It was not safe to be me for many reasons. But in any event, I just kind of let that slide until after I took this intuitive development class, I started getting more and more in touch with my own spiritual guides and ancestors. And I started receiving some messages from them about how to operate. I also discovered that there are online tarot card readers, and darned if they didn't start telling me about situations that were happening in my work life. Uh, every tarot card reader, they always say this. They say, look, whatever I say, take it with a grain of salt. If it doesn't apply to you, don't take it on. Leave it for somebody else. And they all say, look, you need to get your own personal readings in order to confirm or deny things that are said here. So I thought, okay, all right. So anyway, they were saying things that corresponded immediately to my work environment. And I had learned from a reader who told me, he said, people in your work environment don't like you. They're very jealous of you, and they're spreading all kinds of lies against you, and they're doing rituals against you to try to prevent you from succeeding because they're very jealous of you. So anyway, I thought I was very surprised. But anyway, I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to get a reading from somebody else. I actually got two more readings because the first person told me the source of who had supposedly put a curse on me because they didn't want me to achieve any kind of success in terms of romantically or career wise or financially. And so I did get to the bottom of it because I consulted 3 more individual readers who confirmed what the first guy said. And these other readers also said, you know what, these people at work, they're doing rituals against you and they're really spreading very damaging lies about you. And I started to pay attention, and I actually heard some of those lies. Very character defaming. I encourage you, by the way, to read the description of this video. But anyways, I will share something. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I haven't dated since 1998. And the fact that I have been an online hypnotherapist for about 6 years. I help people easily release low self-esteem and become confident, generally in one session. So let's put it this way. I am here and love seeing people recognize how wonderful they are. I want only the best for others. My purpose here is this. I have been guided that I needed to share my experience about this. So anyway, with my newfound understanding and guidance from, I guess, my spiritual team, one day I was guided that I needed to drive 2 hours to a particular place, that there was someone waiting for me there, and that I better hurry up because they were waiting. And I thought, oh my goodness, you're kidding me. Is this for real? Because of course, I had never had anything like this happen before. But I thought, what the heck? I will simply go there. And if no one is there, then what the heck? I will just, do one of the activities there or whatever. So anyway, I drive the 2 hours. And then I'm looking around. Who could possibly be waiting for me? So this woman comes out of the garden there and she says, hi, I'm so-and-so. I've been waiting for you. I've been praying for you to get here. She goes, she said, I am a spiritual artist. She said, I do spiritual portraits. And I've been invited to speak at a church tomorrow. I would love it if you could come and see my talk and hear my talk. And I said, okay. I said, I got a sense that I'm supposed to work with a spiritual artist. Of course, well, I'm an artist as well, but I would always love to receive some guidance and instruction on improving my portraits. So anyway, I'm a very loose painter and probably the slowest painter on earth. But anyway, I made some arrangements, and the next day I went to see this woman's talk, and I was absolutely floored because part of her talk said that she had the presence from, I guess, God, or had guidance from God to do his portrait. And I thought, that's really wild. Could that actually be possible? I had never heard of anything like that. So in her talk, she gave the talk about the Virgin Mary. Now, she has also done portraits of Mary and the angels, and she has gone on to contact people who have claimed to have visitations from these spiritual leaders. She contacted them and confirmed the fact that the features that she created on her portraits were accurate. I think that's pretty amazing. So in any event, I thought, wow. And Of course, I socialized after her talk with many of the people in the congregation, and it turned out many of them were also artists and musicians, as well as tarot card readers and mediums and healers and light workers of many different techniques. And I thought, this is really cool. They were also the people who spoke and conducted the services were very knowledgeable about the Bible and so forth. I am personally not any scholar of the Bible. I've always considered it a collection of stories about God, but I have also recognized that, of course, it has some basic ideas that are good to live by, like do unto others as you would do to yourself. And, all the sins of greed, lust, whatever, you're do better to steer clear of those things. So I am no biblical scholar by any means. Um, in any event, I decided, I like this group of people. They're creative. They have explored and developed their intuitive and healing potentials, and I really like that. So anyway, it was a very eclectic and intelligent group of people, and I thought, I really like this church, and I'm not a churchy person by any means. In fact, I sort of distrust most religious traditional organizations. I recognize that they're very valuable and they do some good in the world, but um, in any event, sometimes I find that people may be too concerned with what other people wear, or maybe are not so much in their highest selves. And so, anyway, I went to this church and I started thinking, I really like these people. Maybe I should start going here. So I told them, I would love to move to this area. And, is there anyone who might know of someone I could rent a room from, or whatever? And so a couple came up and they said, "Oh, we're sorry, we rented out our last room." And they said, "We would have loved to have had you rent from us." And I said, "Yeah, I would have loved to have rented from you guys as well." So anyway, a week went by and I had a very scary experience. I went to stay in a hotel where I get there and I noticed what a bad idea it was to rent a room in that hotel. Immediately when I got out of the elevator on the second floor, there was a "Hey baby" man. Uh, there were people hanging about in weird places. I got to the room, the door lock didn't work, the deadbolt didn't work, the light didn't work. And I thought, what is this? I can't stay here. The whole thing was terrifying, to be honest with you, because look, I couldn't even close the door to the hotel. There was no light. I had to hold the door completely open and then walk in the room and try and find the light with the door open. Imagine that, in a place like that. And I went downstairs and I said, "Look, this room doesn't have a light that works, doesn't have a lock or deadbolt that works. I can't stay here. Can you refund my money?" They said, "No, you'll have to go to Expedia, where you made the reservation. You'll have to work with them." And I was terrified about what I had seen and experienced. I drove, I guess maybe an hour away to a Holiday Inn Express. And I almost kissed the ground when I got there. The guy at the desk said, look, I want you to park right near the front door. It's late. He said, let me help you. I thought I was in heaven. So anyway, I looked all that week for a place to stay. And then the following Monday, I get a phone call from the lady from at church. And she said, do you know what? The woman who took our room has decided to make other plans. Would you like to come and see the room? And I thought, oh my God, I was so happy. And I just happened to look over. There was some stopped traffic right next to me. And the license plate of the nearest stopped car said, God did it. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And so I said, yeah, I would love to come by and look at it. But I really felt as though I had been given a sign. And I felt like I don't even need to see it. When I see that sign, that evidence, I'm going to go to the bank and get the deposit and the first month's rent. So I did. And I gave it to her right away. And so anyway, I felt, oh my God, I'm so thankful. I'm so grateful. And the person that had called me to tell me the room was available was a medium. And anyway, I felt like, you know what? I really like these people. And she and her husband were very, very spiritual scholars of the Bible, in fact. And she also knows quite a bit about angels. So I thought, oh, wow, I feel so safe. These people are spiritual. They're nice people. So anyway, the first lady, the one who had brought me to that church in the first place, contacted me, and she said, and this was a little bit before I found the place to live where the sign said God did it. This other first lady contacted me, and she said, I know someone. He and his wife have a place, and there's someone renting like a studio in their house. And she will be leaving sometime in October. She's going to be getting married to someone in the military. But let me introduce this person to you. Actually, what happened was this. I was following her going to somewhere, a restaurant, in fact. I was driving behind her, and all of a sudden, boom, there's a loud noise. I look at my windshield, and the whole thing is cracked. There's actually a hole in the glass. I couldn't drive back to where I lived. It was over an hour away. I couldn't drive the car. And so she saved the day, actually. She said, look, I know a couple that lives not far from here. And she said, they're actually going to have a room available in October. And she said, let me see if they can put you up for the night. So I said, okay. So anyway, I went to meet this couple who was lovely. And they put me up. They fed me breakfast the next morning. Very nice. And anyway, the next day, I was able to get a rental car and go back to where I lived. And so, anyway, at some point, well, of course, I thanked them profusely for putting them up. I sent them a nice card, and in any event, at some point, we met again, this couple and I, and the man like put his hands on my arm, and it was not welcome. And I thought, well, he's married. What's he doing that for? And it just gave me kind of a creepy vibe. And the lady who had introduced me to him said, oh, well, let me tell you, the men who are associated with this particular church, they're very actual and they enjoy that. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not going to go live in that situation. So luckily, the place where I am now came available, and I felt safe. I have to say this. I've always lived in my own apartment pretty much. Oh, I guess for 50 years I've had my own place and whatever. So now I was renting a room, and I had to get rid of all my things, all my furniture, pretty much all my belongings. I have my clothes and my art supplies. So anyway, what happened was this. There was someone from the congregation who said, look, if you would like to come to this town and stay for a weekend, she said, I have an extra room in my condo. And she said, you're more than welcome to come and stay for the weekend, just for like maybe a couple of days and no more. She said, really, I'm not looking for a roommate, but I would be more than happy to let you stay, just to be in the area. You can look for housing or whatever. And I was so grateful for her hospitality. So later, I found out the lady who did the portraits of all the, of God and Mary and the angels, was comparing herself to me. I've been told by some spiritual people that I have a very, very bright light and that it's very, very intimidating. Now, I don't see this bright light, and I don't know anything about that, but more than one person has said that to me. And I always say to people and to my clients, look, never compare yourself to anybody else. Well, what I sensed was this spiritual artist was comparing her light to mine. And she wanted me to move in with this couple where the guy was, like pawing my hand. And I thought, no. My sense was she wanted me to have an affair with this guy. And then she wanted to set me up with this other guy in the congregation. And he was visiting from another country. He was giving tarot readings. So I signed up for him, and he said something so inappropriate. I couldn't believe it. He has the letters REV in front of his name. And he's highly respected in that community. And he wanted to know about my sex life, like details. And I was floored. I thought, who is this guy? That's highly inappropriate for anybody to ask, much less someone with those letters in front of his name, and someone who's reading tarot. You never ask anybody something so private. I was totally shocked. And he started, like, in subsequent times at the church, he would, like, try and flirt with me or look at me and smile. And he had a wedding ring on, for Christ's sake. And I thought, ick, why is this? I just couldn't get it. But then I realized, you know what? Maybe she thinks I think I'm better than anyone else. I don't. No, I feel like we're all works in progress. But then I sensed, apparently the lady who had offered me a place to stay, like on a weekend here or there, was telling people she had been robbed. And the spiritual portrait lady told her I was a thief. I've never stolen anything, and I wouldn't want to steal anything from anybody else. No way. And so she started spreading this lie and probably some other lies to people who went to church there. And I thought, this is terrible. I thought this was a safe place to be, that people in a church wouldn't be acting that way, much less people who had these credentials, and activities. I was floored. I was so shocked. Maybe I was being naive. I mean, we think about the Catholic priests and what happened there. So, anyways, time went on where I was living, and I thought, I really like these people. It would be so nice to be considered, as a friend too. And the wife invited me to be part of a lightworkers group. And then I realized something. I realized something really sad, a pattern that has happened for me. I was gang stalked in a company I worked for about 6 years because of being different. The people there knew that I have an online business, and they started spreading lies about me. There was also the fact that I'm a hard worker. My supervisor at the time said that my productivity was twice as much as the next person, the next highest in the department. And, so anyway, whatever. My coworkers didn't like that. And I said to them, look, I am not in competition with anybody. I just try to do my best every day. And my attitude is not that I'm some little cog in this huge company. It's that I work for myself every day and I try to do better than I did the day before. It's very simple. The thoughts we put into our mind are our most powerful tool. And Einstein once said, imagination is far more powerful than fact. And I totally believe it because as a hypnotherapist, my clients and I team up together and work in order for them to remove any old traumatic feelings from their past that cause them to feel like they're not good enough or that cause them to worry about who they are or how they're doing or whatever. They remove their trauma generally in one session. And it's because part of the process involves creating a story about who they are in their new life and a recording to plant those seeds of who the new them will be in the future. And once they have removed their past trauma, every night they plant the new seeds. And every night these new ideas about their new self grow and grow and grow until at the end of the month, they understand that's who they are now. And they feel so much better. They feel happier. Things that used to bother them and so forth no longer bother them. So anyway, many of them have said some amazing things and shared many stories with me about the changes that have happened in their life. So be that as it may, I work to help people feel better. My idea is that all of us are here to help one another, that everyone has things they can share. Everyone has skills to help other people. We can learn things from one another. You don't have to be some academically educated person with PhD after your name. We can learn from people without a formal education, and I happily will learn from them. So anyway, I realized over time that people, for some reason, have become jealous of me. For what? I don't know, except I love my life. I certainly don't have a Ferrari or my own home or a wonderful career right now. But of course, I'm open to all these things. And yet, I found people compare themselves because I'm happy. And I feel free. And I feel joy in my life and gratitude. And I feel so grateful. I love to learn. I have many, many interests. I have continued to work on my interests during all kinds of trauma because these things help me. They help me to transcend a lot of jealousy that has prevented friendships. People see me and they somehow get these ideas that everything for me in life has been easy, a cakewalk, that I have wealth, that I have this, that I have that I have never had to struggle with anything because I'm happy. And they're jealous of that. And I think, isn't that interesting? And I constantly tell people, look, don't compare yourself to anybody else because comparison is the thief of joy. You have skills, you have talents, you have things to share. You matter, and you are unique, you are wonderful. Never put yourself down. You are here on earth for a reason. Everyone has a purpose. So, in any event, I found one of my dear friends at one point became very jealous. And I noticed something strange. She started wearing the kind of clothes I wear. It was strange because she had always worn hippie clothes that were very creative and organic. And then all of a sudden, she started wearing these tailored clothes. And I thought, that's really strange. And then I went somewhere with her and I realized she was jealous. And I thought, oh, this is not good. And then I found she was telling lies about me. And I decided, you know what? I don't need any toxic friends, people who are frenemies. And I I stopped interacting with her. And yeah, I found she was telling lies about me. And so, in any event, I also cut off, I told you at the beginning, these like 5 different readers who confirmed that someone had like put a curse on me to prevent me from having the good things in life. A great career, a husband, a home, financial stability, everything that goes with it, all the trappings of success. And I got to the bottom of who it was. And I got other readings and confirmed who it was. And I cut off those people. They were working as a group, people that I'd known my whole life. They wanted me to be small. They wanted me to have to live with them, rely on them. When I was a little kid, I was always told I was way too sensitive, that I needed to stop being so sensitive. Whatever I said, they would make fun of. Whatever my interests were, they said were worthless. Whatever I said, they would roll their eyes at for my whole life. They wanted to keep me powerless. They wanted me to constantly have to rely on them and live in close proximity to them. And I decided, I guess about a year ago, I said, look, I've decided to release any toxicity from my life. And it's the best thing I ever did. And so I have a very strong cutoff game. And so at one point when I had been working at that job where I was being gang stalked, I realized that karma was going to appear in those people's lives. And when bad things started happening to them, for example, one of the lies they told about me was when someone's mother died, they spread a rumor that I was some kind of a dark witch and that I had caused the lady's death. I don't do that stuff. I try and help people see the light in themselves. Life is tough enough for everyone without sending ish people's way. After I left that work situation where I was gang stalked, so many awful lies were told about me there that I went to management and HR and I said, look, I would like you to create a gang stalking policy here to try to protect me and anyone else. I haven't done anything to hurt anyone or to damage anyone else's reputation. I'm in my own lane. I'm here to work, baby. And I've always been complimented on my work ethic. I don't wish anybody any harm, but by the same token, I don't want my reputation continue to be damaged by these lies, which were ludicrous. So in any event, I was guided to leave there by my spiritual team because karma was going to start hitting these people and they were going to blame me and there could be some serious consequences. And so I resigned. After working for 6 years, I wanted management to stand up for me. They wouldn't. I had worked my butt off for these people and they couldn't even provide me with a safe place to work. So anyway, I had been told that, I guess at one point, I was kind of told that God had been with me even when I was young and watched these people do these things towards me that were evil. I used to cry when I was a kid and say, why am I with these people? Why? People who disrespected me, treated me like crap. Anyway, it wasn't an easy life by any means. As soon as I could, I escaped and went somewhere else. So anyway, I guess it was last year I decided I'm letting go of anybody in my life who is toxic. And I did. And I feel so much better for doing this. And so anyway, because of lies that were told about me in this religious organization, I decided to stop going there because people apparently believe these lies about me. And I thought, so, what kind of church is this? Should people in a church be held more accountable and people with REV in front of their names be required to do their shadow work? Because my understanding is, look, if you don't know who you are, if your sense of self relies on what other people think of you, or if it relies on you feeling superior to someone else, is that really being authentic? Doesn't it require doing all the shadow work on yourself so that you understand who you are? You don't need any outside authentication. You don't need to rely on the way others see you to figure out who you are. No. I want to attract only people who have backbones, who know who they are. I am open to criticism, and believe me, I am not perfect. I always say to my clients, none of us is perfect. When people criticize us, don't take it personally. Take it with a grain of salt. Examine what they say. Are there any valid points? Consider it logically. If they have valid points, then maybe there's a reason to incorporate some change. But if things are spoken in anger or an attitude of putting someone down, then don't take it personally. It's not your stuff. Let it go. Everyone has an opinion, and what others think of us is their opinion of us. So, anyway, I know this is probably the weirdest story you've ever heard, but I'm very curious about how you think. Should people who say they are light workers and spiritual be responsible for working on themselves first? And what about telling lies about others to make themselves feel better? Did they get a pass because and recognizing that they have a right to not be perfect? None of us is perfect. But how much should we put up with from others? How far do we turn the other cheek? I have decided that I have really done my best to give people the benefit of the doubt because I am here, after all, to be of service. And I recognize that there was a group of people that I said to them, look, this is my skill area, and I would be more than happy to give you a session to work on whatever you would like to do to improve your life and, your trauma. Because face it, everybody has trauma to get over in this life. Nobody escapes. Everybody has their shadows to work on. And I offered my services over several months. And I looked at their actions. They weren't interested. Not only that, they decided to send dark magic towards me, who had done nothing. Um, you look at the situation for my being here, the license plate that says God did it. It's like I was guided to be in the situation with these people, to be of service to them. And instead, they start sending dark magic my way because they felt jealous. They sent death wishes. They sent health issues. They sent job loss issues, financial issues. And by the way, I've been in a place for about 6 months and still have not received my mail. I've been to post offices in my old place, in my new place, and I'm wondering, where is my mail? So, in any event, I'm curious about your response to this very strange story. Uh, anyway, have a good one.